So for the first time ever, I'm going to try scripting one of these videos, so if you like it, be sure to let me know, and I'll take more time with my little reviews like these, instead of just talking on camera and saying, I love this, over and over and over, and then getting facts wrong, and all of that jazz. That's about it for the intro from me. Let's get right into it. When I was talking about the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, I said that I wasn't the biggest fan of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but in a more nuanced way. I personally believe that Homecoming is the best live-action Spider-Man movie to date, but is followed by Far From Home, which, in my opinion at least, is the worst Spider-Man movie to ever be released. The best way to understand why I think this would be to start with Homecoming, and what makes Homecoming great. First off, with what I think makes this movie truly spectacular, and not that I don't think it has its flaws. Firstly, it fits into the world. When talking about the MCU, I think it's very important to talk about how well something fits into the already established world that they've created. Homecoming excels in this, and while I saw some complaints around its release that Iron Man had too big of a role in the film, I think this truly makes it grounded in the world that it takes place in. He has just been on his first real superhero mission and is waiting for more. We're watching a Spider-Man that is still in his first steps of having these powers, and so of course he hasn't settled down into his friendly neighborhood Spider-Man role yet. He was just a part of the Avengers, and he fought Bucky Barnes and the Falcon. Of course he's desperately trying to get Tony and Happy to respond to him and tell me that he's needed again. He has these delusions of grandeur from the other adventures he's been on, and he thinks he should be saving the world, and so Tony's place in the movie feels warranted and really grounds the film in a great way within the wider world. This movie also captures the essence of Spider-Man very beautifully. It shows his genius from hacking the Stark suit, to mixing web fluid in class, to being able to figure out who people are and when things happen within the plot of the movie. The genius of Spider-Man is a hard thing to tackle within the movies without making him sound like an insufferable piece of crap, or just leaving it into the wind, and I think they did a really good job in this film. I think how he makes jokes to the criminals that are wearing the Avengers masks in the beginning is peak Spider-Man dialogue. It makes you laugh while making them annoyed. It's a great scene, and every scene where they let him interact with the citizens is just incredible. Especially when he saves especially when he gets the bike and helps the lady with the sandwich and does the backflip for the guy. The only other scene that I think comes close to showing this level of bond and connection between Spider-Man and the community he protects is in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, when he fixes the kid's windmill and then walks him home, which is then followed up on and really expounded upon when he's standing at the end in the Spider-Man costume and Spider-Man comes up and says, hey, I'll take it over from here. Just a great scene, and that's what Spider-Man is about on a fundamental level. Him and his community and the people love Spider-Man, and he has this bond with them, even if he doesn't know them personally. This is a highly important thing to show, so that way Spidey feels important to the people he protects, because otherwise it just doesn't come across very well, and he is important to the people. The way this movie handles Peter Parker's dual life is also very incredibly done. Every action he makes as Spider-Man affects his life as Peter Parker, and almost every action he makes as Peter Parker really affects what he does as Spider-Man. People get mad when he ditches them, not only in Washington, but all throughout high school. Him leaving the party to be Spider-Man, that's exactly what the consequences of being Spider-Man should be. To finish off the things that I love about this film, the scene before Homecoming, like the actual Homecoming dance, when the Vulture figures out that Peter is Spider-Man within the car. This is just a perfected version of the similar scene with the Green Goblin in the Sam Raimi films. It is just an incredible way of showing that this villain is smart, that this villain has a connection and personally, through what he does, affects Peter Parker on a personal level, even though he doesn't have to know him from childhood or whatever. It walks that fine line, because ever since the Sam Raimi films, a lot of the times, oh, every single villain he fights is somehow related to him. It's his uncle's best friend's brother that became the Hobgoblin, and it does a very fine line of making sure that it's personal to Peter Parker, and like has a detriment on him to be Spider-Man and fight him, while also making sure that it's not just somebody he knows from childhood. Now, after all that glaze that I put on the donut of this sandwich, you must wonder if I have any qualms with it, huh? Well, I already said, so surprisingly, I do. A lot of what I mentioned of things that I loved, I think are double-edged swords. The biggest of them is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is lodged in the MCU. This poses the problem of him having his suit handed to him, and that all of the web gadgets that we could have seen him develop himself were given to him by Iron Man as well. His suit, all the web gadgets, everything was handed to him, and sure, he hacks the suit and that shows his genius, but it kind of undermines his genius, in my opinion. Part of what makes Peter Parker so smart and revered by the other scientists of the Marvel Universe is not just that he's smart, it's that he can make the technology that rivals what they have using just scraps he finds around. To have all these gadgets and the suit and the web shooters handed to him by Stark, when in the comics we see him make these things on the fly without prep time, and it just falls flat to me. Like in the most recent Death Spiral gun, on the fly, he makes a device to track the Shocker's gauntlets because they need to find the Shocker's gauntlets. And so he just does that on the fly using a spider tracer. Using just a gadget, he just does it. That's part of what makes him smart. It's proven in the comics that if he had unlimited resources like Stark or like Reed, he would be the greatest mind to ever touch the planet. And that's what makes him what he is. And so to give him all of this stuff and just hand it to him kind of undermines it for me. I know he had his own web shooters when he had the homemade suit, but Stark gave him better web shooters, is at least how I thought it worked. It is counterbalanced though, like I mentioned, the homemade suit exists and is used in this opinion, and personally it's my second favorite homemade suit of all time, with my first being shown in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man TV show. I just like the way that the web cartridges work, because it's not cartridges. What do you do when you don't have anything to do? It's a pressurized like fire hydrant thing, and that's pretty cool. But anyways, the homemade suit in this movie is not really used as a way to show off Peter Parker. It is more used as a punishment from Tony Stark in order to prove himself. And when he proves himself, he doesn't really learn anything other than I should be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, because he gets the Stark suit back. He gets all of these gadgets and all of this stuff that you would normally see him invent and create using his genius. He gets it handed to him again. I think his side characters are not the greatest. He has the worst Flash I have ever had the misfortune of seeing. And while I have grown to love Ned the farther out we get from the release of these movies, I remember thinking, oh my god, they gave Peter a typical ha-ha funny MCU sidekick like everybody else when the movie first released. I also think that it was a bit too early to reveal his identity to Ned, but the story runs with it in a super well thought out way, and it is in no way a detriment, just not my personal preference. Finally, the conflict of this movie seems bigger than Peter and Spider-Man, especially for a Spider-Man that is just starting out, right? This is a Spider-Man that has just started out. He's within his first year, maybe year and a half, realistically. He's only just fought his first superpowered baddies a little bit ago, and I'm about to get right into that. But the actual conflict, while I love the villain and how he's related to Peter Parker and how what he does affects Peter Parker, the villain's end goal seems a little out of the scope of what this Spider-Man has done before, especially what he's done in this film and what this film is about. But the power scaling that they have shown him to have really gets on my nerves, right? So, in Winter Soldier, this is a version of the character that has only had his powers for like a few months top. He doesn't even have anything other than the homemade suit, and he has almost zero combat experience. The only thing he would have thought is street thugs, right? And in his homemade suit, he gets this powered up suit from Stark, and then he is able to no-diff Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the same time. He doesn't break a sweat, he's able to make quips the entire time, and it's very casual for him, and then he gets beaten down by Captain America. And I understand it's Captain America plot armor, but to go, oh, well, he lost to Captain America due to combat experience, but he didn't lose to Falcon and the Winter Soldier due to combat experience? I don't understand what their thought process was there, because he doesn't have any combat experience against any superpowered individuals. So to have someone in a wingsuit flying around him, he doesn't have any experience fighting anybody like that, but he can easily take him down. He doesn't have any experience with that kind of thing and just does it easily without even, like, breaking a sweat. And then goes into the next movie and he gets his ass beaten by the Vulture, just absolutely beaten down by the Vulture. It doesn't make much sense. And as these movies, because the movies are taken much more seriously than the comics, power scaling is also going to be taken much more seriously, and inconsistencies like this are harder to write off in a movie compared to the comics, especially when they've done so much in these movies to make sure that the power scaling remains somewhat consistent, and that the heroes aren't just wildly outscaled in their own movies and then reduced in power for the crossover movies. Does anything that I liked about Homecoming transfer over into Far From Home? Fuck no. The only thing that I can sincerely compliment this movie on is its outstandingly good visual effects and fight choreography in Mysterio, because all of that was truly amazing. But let's go through the checklist of everything I liked about Homecoming and show how it doesn't hold up at all in Far From Home. Grounding within the world. This movie feels like the farthest thing from grounded within the world of the MCU, and a worse crime yet, it is far from grounded within Peter Parker's life. Instead of focusing on Peter as a character, it revolves around Tony Stark's glasses. The only reason Peter is relevant to the story at all is because he had the glasses to begin with. Mysterio does not care about Peter or Spider-Man in any way other than, oh, they have the glasses, so I have to get those from him. After he gets the glasses, he doesn't care about Peter Parker or Spider-Man until he poses a threat to his plan. And even when Spider-Man's rogue gallery doesn't have a personal connection to him, they still affect him on a personal or character-driven level. The only way Mysterio does this is by making him look like an absolute idiot. Which leads us right into the next point: Spider-Man's genius. Why would a genius who has fought alongside all of the best superheroes, because this is after Infinity War and Endgame and Civil War and Homecoming, he's fought against Thanos with all the superheroes, give up the thing that Tony Stark, his mentor and father figure kind of, left for him? This incredible piece of technology, an insanely dangerous weapon, and he experiences how dangerous it can be and deadly firsthand in the scene on the bus when he has to protect his classmates against himself against the drone because he accidentally set it loose. He just gives it over willy-nilly because some random superhero he's never seen of or heard before said he's from a different dimension, and then elementals from other dimensions and mystical shit is being mentioned. He doesn't think of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange isn't even informed. Nick Fury and Spider-Man just go, yeah, this guy must be telling the truth. Let's give him the crazy technology thing. And someone he knows about, Doctor Strange, someone he knows about and knows deals with mystic threats, doesn't even think about him at all. He knows about Doctor Strange. We know that because of No Way Home, he goes to Doctor Strange. The only people he has seen specialize in magic as well would have no need for his super technology glasses, so that didn't set off any red flags, none at all. This is a genius, by the way. This is supposed to be an incredibly smart genius. The writing of this just treats his character like a naive idiot, which is just not true about Peter Parker. He does not contact Happy about giving them to someone else or maybe destroying them when he feels like he doesn't deserve them. He doesn't even try to reach out to anyone, even though Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. is in the movie. He just hands them over to the first person who asks. They treat the boy genius like an absolute loser idiot, and that is character assassination at its finest, which is crazy because they did such a good job in the previous film, and even in Civil War they did a great job, and in Infinity War they did a great job, and then they just do that, which is, it's just a crazy turn of events. The lack of quips. He hardly ever tells jokes while fighting in this movie. He's fairly funny as Peter Parker, but Peter Parker's not supposed to be a crazy funny guy. And coming off the high of Homecoming, let me clarify, Peter Parker can be funny. He says jokes a lot, but that's not a defining factor for him, right? And coming off the high of Homecoming and his previous showings in the MCU where they did such a fantastic job of his joke telling, especially as Spider-Man, and his references and everything, why does this movie feel so lacking in that department? The villain. Oh my god, I hate this version of Mysterio. This film, I can honestly make the argument, just name it Iron Man 4 at this point. His motivations feel the same as every other Iron Man villain from the other 3 movies. They have nothing to do with the main character of the film. He was wronged by Tony Stark and had his ideas stolen, and now he wants a Stark tech so he can use his technology to become the next Tony Stark, which is his way of getting revenge on the dead man. But let's ignore that. Ignore the fact that it has nothing to do with Peter Parker for a second, and think about his plan real quick. So what? So what, honestly? He fakes his villains and his battles so he can't be the next Tony Stark or the next Iron Man. There's no way he could ever do that. Let's say he gets away with it. What then? Oh yeah, let's call him this crazy cool super magic guy that saved the world from the elementals. What does he even do in that situation? He cannot be a superhero. His plan is flawed at that intro level because he doesn't have infinite budget like Tony Stark, and no amount of being a superhero like that will get him infinite budget, especially when he's pretending that his powers are magic based and not technology. Like, sure, if they were technology based and he was outward and frontward with them being technology based, then I can understand it from a little bit. Then you sell some of the weapons that you don't use as you upgrade them, and you get money, and then you become the next arm dealers and the next Tony Stark. But he doesn't do that. He pitches them as magic threats, magic powers. He literally cannot do anything, even if he gets those glasses. I mean, he could be a villain and actually destroy things, but he doesn't want to be. His idea is to be the next Tony Stark, at least as I understood it. And what happens if another hero shows up to help him with a battle? Because he has to fight in populated areas for his plan to work, especially in the long term. He would have to fight in populated areas so that people can see him fighting and see him as a hero. What happens if another hero shows up to help? And because he's in populated areas, it's very likely. I mean, that's literally what happens with Spider-Man. And Mysterio has to go out of his way to make sure they attack Spider-Man and keep Spider-Man at arm's length, so that way he can't help, so that way he doesn't find out that it's just an illusion. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, how did he go through all of this without thinking about any of it? It just doesn't make any sense. And you might be thinking about how I said he doesn't affect Peter on a personal level. It might as well be Iron Man 4 and an Iron Man villain, and you think, well, he does have an effect on Peter. He released his identity to the world. Not within his own movie. In the movie, Mysterio is the main villain, and he does not have any sort of effect throughout his own movie, right? Revealing his identity is only the setup to the next movie. The only thing Mysterio does to affect Peter is set up the next movie. That's stupid, that's dumb, it doesn't count. That genuinely doesn't count. Nothing Mysterio does within his own movie has any consequences for Peter or Spider-Man that they have to work through. That they have to work through and work throughout the course of the movie. Nothing has any negative effects on Peter's life. Nothing has any negative effects on his ability to be Spider-Man. He just is Spider-Man in Europe fighting a villain that doesn't make sense, that he got himself into because they treated him like he was an idiot, even though he's not an idiot, and he's been in every MCU film and he knows other superheroes. Like, that doesn't make sense. Almost every other Spider-Man adaptation is able to hit this, and yet it feels like an afterthought when designing this version of Mysterio. how he affects Spider-Man should not feel like an afterthought. And something else that I just want to leave off on. This movie has, by far, the worst scene of MJ finding out about Peter being Spider-Man. Everyone gives MJ from the Raimi movies shit about how she's so mad and she's a bad person, and while I agree on most of the points, right, there's a lot of things that MJ does, and I'm like, oh, that's out of character, oh, no, shouldn't have done that, that's just bad character writing. MJ should be mad. She should be. On a fundamental level, MJ is mad finding out that he's Spider-Man. That's just how it works. You have been ditched by this person over and over and over again, and constantly being ditched to them, constantly being lied because you know he's not busy, or well, he said he would show up and now he's not showing up, now he flakes all the time. You should be mad, and then he tells you he's Spider-Man. And your thought isn't, oh, he's Spider-Man, clears him of all wrongdoing. It's, oh my god, you fucking Spider-Man? You've been lying to me for months, for years, about, can I trust you with anything at this point? Because you've just been lying to me and flaking on me. You could have just told me that you were saving the world. I wouldn't have been mad at you for years, right? She should be mad. But what happened in the film was, here we go. You're Spider-Man. No, I'm not. Yes you are. No, that was the Night Monkey. Does the Night Monkey use the same web shooters as Spider-Man? Projection of Mysterio enemy plays. Okay, that's bad. I am Spider-Man. Let's go save the world. And nothing comes of it. There's nothing that happens because of this interaction. It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I have ever seen and heard. It's just absolutely stupid that that's how they took that. And that's how they took... Oh my god, it makes me so livid to think about. But that's pretty much all I have to say. I tried to get as much out in this script as I could. I can explain more in the comments if you have anything you want me to elaborate on or any questions about how I felt about it. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you did like it. And if you want any more scripted content like this, be sure to let me know. This took me a few days to write, and I feel pretty proud of what I was able to accomplish. If you made it this far, the gameplay you've been watching is my very own Spider-Man gameplay that I recorded, and it is terrible. It's genuinely terrible. It's the worst thing ever. Thanks for watching. Wet Willy!